Welcome back again today, guys. So today we're going to be talking about the fighting that's going on in Sudan. Omar al-Bashir was a president. He took over the country in 1989, if I'm correct. And he stayed in power for 30 years. And then eventually the people wanted him out. And there was the military power that kicked him out. And after he got kicked out, there was supposed to be democracy, and the people wanted democracy within Sudan. So in 2019, around 2019, the people of Sudan wanted the president of 30 years to be kicked out. They wanted a democracy and they wanted him out of there. So the military was the ones that actually was in power after he got kicked out. They were in power, and they were in power to make sure that the peaceful transition, or the transition of the new power or the new democracy of the people, was safe and went through. Essentially what happened was is eventually the military, which gained power, which was controlling the country at that point, they were in talks with different political parties, different politicians and people within Sudan. Then soon after, within 2 years, there was a prime minister, and then the military would kick out the prime minister again, and they seized power of Sudan again. And so once the military took over, the people eventually didn't want the military in there either. So they started talking with other political parties and politicians within Sudan. And once they did that, they were supposed to bring in a new people's democracy within Sudan. So it seems like talks between the pro-democracy people or citizens within Sudan and politicians and the army can never take place, or have always been set back, because there's a rivalry between the army and the RSF, which is sort of like another army or another group, which the army is ran by General Abdi Fattah, which is the president or the current leader at the moment, and the leader of the RSF, which is General Mohammed. Interesting enough, at one point, both the leaders were on the same side, and the RSF actually was rebranded in 2013, but before that they were created as a militia group to help with the Darfur war. And while they were in Darfur, they were going under the name of Janjaweed, which was, like I said, a militia group that was there in Darfur that was meant to help and protect the higher commanders and politicians and things of that sort, right? But they were also accused of war crimes within Darfur as well by many groups and many people. So then, if you bring it back down to modern day today, these two men were at one point friends, and now that they're warring, and they're warring in the country of Sudan. And unfortunately, the people of Sudan, especially in the capital of Khartoum, they are going without electricity, without water. It's very hot right now, of course, in Sudan, right? And so a lot of people are having to deal with that. There's a drought in different parts of Sudan. There's just a lot of stuff going on in Sudan at this point. And as of the 15th, if I'm correct, of this month, there was accusations from both sides, the military and then the RSF on the other side, saying that each one of them started war or fired at the other one in the capital of Sudan, which is Khartoum. So you have both sides. Initially, there was agreement to bring the RSF into the army. So they wanted to integrate the RSF into the army. Some people think that the army did that because they were scared that the RSF would become too big. And then you have two men, right? Obviously, I don't know these men personally. I don't know these people personally, but you have these two people with ambition, and they want to take over. Not that it's good ambition, but they want to take over or rule the country of Sudan. So then you lead up to today, and today it seems like they're fighting for power. Both men are fighting for power to control Sudan. The army at the moment has aircrafts, right? They have jets, they have planes. And the RSF, they don't have planes, but they do have anti-aircraft weapons. And the RSF has been gaining a lot of strength, a lot of money, especially through the gold trade. So it's one of those things where it seems like two men are fighting for power of this country. The army wants to bring the RSF under them and integrate them because the RSF is growing more stronger and more powerful throughout Sudan. And they have different bases in Khartoum, which the government or the army has bombed, right? And so it's just back and forth power struggle. Obviously, the RSF and the leader of the RSF, he has political ambitions, it seems like. And then obviously the army, and they want to stay in power of Sudan. So you have both of these political powers going at each other at the expense of the citizens of Sudan and Khartoum, which is really sad to see, for real, because when you see these type of things, the common citizen is not the person that is going to war. They're the people that are just trying to live their life. They might want the country to go a different direction, and then you have two people that are fighting for power. This happens obviously all around the world, but the difference is if it's peaceful or if it's not peaceful, right? Or if it's in between. And it's always a constant battle for power in every country. And unfortunately, the people of Sudan have to pay for this. And I know a lot of Sudanese people, and they're very great, nice people. Like, they're good people. The normal Sudanese person is a very caring and welcoming people. But then you have two factions that are fighting over the control of the country. And like I said before, I'm not any of these people, so I don't know what their ambitions is. I don't know what they see in the future. Some people are willing to sacrifice other people to make their vision come true, whether that's good or bad, or whether they deem it to be good or bad. So unfortunately, these things are happening in Sudan, and a lot of people are dying, getting hurt. They don't have enough electricity. They don't have enough water. They don't have food. There's places that are droughts. And in my head, I think a lot of times there's got to be a point where you look at each other and say, hey, this could be me. This could be the common person. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but unfortunately, I know as human beings that war will never go anywhere in this world. I'm sorry, but I know some people hate to hear this, but I don't think war will ever go anywhere, especially with the population of humans going further and resources, battling for resources, for territory, for power. Like, I just think it's just a normal thing, at least in humans. Maybe in all of nature and the universe, but at least in humans. But there's got to be a point where you look at the fellow people and say, is power really worth the killing of other people that look like you, or the killing of your brother or your sister? And also understand that everybody can't be the top dog. Sometimes you have to be the second person, or sometimes you have to be the third person, or sometimes you don't have to be the person at all, because peace and stability and a way of life to where at least everybody can get their basic needs met. And of course, humans want more than that. But as long as those things can be achieved, you're on the right course and the right path. And to me, the people of Sudan have already went through enough. And you gotta get to a point to where you understand that enough is enough, and how you are diplomatic about things is very important, and how you speak about things and coming to agreements about things is super duper important, because people's lives are at danger, people's lives are at risk. And unfortunately, you have two big powers, and they both want power, right? One wants to stay in power, the other one probably wants to take power. And then this is why you have the National Army, or the army, and they're like, hey, we want to integrate the RSF into the army. The army of Sudan wants to do it in 2 years. The RSF wants to do it in 10 years. And there's probably a lot of stuff in the background that I have no idea what's going on. No one has no idea what's going on, because obviously that's above our pay grade, but we can only speculate things. And one thing you can always speculate is that if there's conflict, there's something going on in the background, whether it be foreign entities or entities inside. I would never put it past anything. It's like when you play a game, right? Like when you play a game, there's always, you have teammates, and then you have the opposition. And then sometimes the opposition is part of the team and you don't even know it. And then sometimes the opposition is the ops, right? And then you have people within your own team that could be the ops, and they're helping out that other team you don't even know, right? So it's interesting. And then you also got to think about, there could also be politics. Well, there is also politics at play, right? And there's always politics around the whole world. There's always like chess pieces being moved around the whole world. And so it's not always just something happening in one country. It's always a combination of things that happen in other countries, whether you know what's going on or you don't. And it's just a sad situation. And I hope that Sudan comes out of this quickly, and I hope that this can be settled, because the people of Sudan are the ones that have to go through this, unfortunately, and people are dying. Like it sucks. It sucks, and I hate even seeing it. And so, as the world keeps turning, unfortunately, I hope everything goes good for Sudan. I had a video a long time ago talking about the protests in Sudan, probably back in 2018-19. So I just, can only send love and blessings to people in Sudan. I mean, that's really the only thing that I can do, and make people aware of it. So guys, please like the video, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, and so you can get all my videos. I'm on all social medias, which is Afric Network.